Avalon with Drug Free Dixon Coalition, and today in the hot seat we have Miss Renee Badon of CASA at Highland Rim. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, I think, but yes, I'm honored, yes.
Okay, so a reminder of the way it goes. We have 5 sauces. They pretty much go up in heat, and I will ask you 5 questions. I'll ask you the question. We will both take a bite, and then we will respond once the hot sauce has taken over your body.
Okay. I already got my milk ready.
You're right, yes, and the chocolate milk really is the way to go. Okay, so I'm gonna start you off start you off easy with what is your favorite thing to do in Dixon County?
Oh,
go ahead and take your first one, take a bite. Okay. It's not too bad, huh?
No, I love that flavor.
So this is the Hot Ones Garlic Fresno.
I like that.
I do too. It has the garlic flavor really comes through. I like it. So what's your favorite thing to do in Dixon County?
Really just about anything. I mean, honestly, having lunch downtown or dinner downtown, you run into so many people. I love chamber events. I mean, it just anywhere.
Your favorite restaurant?
I like Lugo's when you have the money to go. It's a great place for lunch.
It's a little more fancy,
Yeah. I like them all. House plans, a little bite of everything. I've been to all of them. I mean, I try to spread it around, but I definitely just love being downtown. I love small town. I just love small town life. My dad used to come in town and go, "Is there anybody you don't know?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Oh yeah, this is the mayor." Of course, the mayor's already said hi to me, or somebody's like, "Oh, that was Judge so-and-so," And it's just, he's like, "How did this happen? You didn't grow up here." I said, "I just love this community." So
it is a very welcoming, kind community. If you are involved in chamber or other organizations, then you really do get to meet a lot.
And leadership.
Absolutely.
Yes, a lot.
Which is a great segue to my next question, which is, what is your favorite part of Leadership Dixon County, and why do you recommend everybody go through it? Go ahead and try your second one. Because I know you're quite active in it.
That's all hot on the tongue, but not otherwise.
It'll kind of get you on the back end a bit. It's very much like a Tabasco.
Okay, so far so good. Okay. I love all the days. I'm sorry, I am like a leadership addict.
Okay.
I went through Leadership Dixon, I went through Leadership Cheatham. I was going to go through Leadership Middle Tennessee when I changed jobs. And I've been asked a few times. But now in my current job, it wouldn't benefit me to go through Leadership Middle necessarily in terms of job, just to have fun and go through it, I'm sure. But
do you have a favorite day though with Leadership Dixon?
History Day always hits on the most beautiful time of the year. And to be in old Charlotte, But the opening retreat, I conducted opening retreats for probably 18 years. And with youth leadership and adult leadership program. And finally got, my knees were like, you can't do that anymore. So I liked that because you saw the personalities. You saw how everybody was forming and coming together, or what was it happening that needed to happen. And then I like closing day. I love being able to book in them because you saw how much growth there was, because I didn't see them during the year. But I do like closing. I really enjoy that now. But really, just all the days, you just learn so much. And I liked how yesterday when I said, once you have leadership, you can't give it back. And that you'll hear somebody complain about something, and you'll have the answer.
Yes, absolutely.
And you can't help but go, no, you don't understand. So-and-so doesn't control that. This person controls that. And the problem is blah, blah, blah. And they look at you like you're crazy. You're like, no, I know this because of leadership,
I learned quite a bit through leadership about, in particular, about how things work. Like you said yesterday was our last day of leadership Dixon County for the class of 25. and you mentioned, how the sausage is made, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the analogy, and that's true. I was able to see a lot of that, and did answer quite a few questions. Also gave me more questions, why is it this way? All those kinds of things. Something I didn't think of yesterday, but as I was reflecting on the whole leadership year, I loved yesterday. I loved being able to compliment each other, to be able to really cheerlead each other, to be able to also, it really showed how much we've grown as a group and how we've connected. I would almost love to see that day also sort of sprinkled in the middle somewhere. Just to sort of, not that exact thing,
right,
but maybe some kind of activity that just sort of like, hey guys, look, you really are bonding.
Yes.
You really are getting to know each other. And this is really amazing. You are really creating these great friendships.
Right.
Because I genuinely feel like yesterday it hit me that
you're not going to see
I'm not going to see that
once a month.
And then I actually am kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah.
But it really hadn't hit me in any kind of way. And so I almost wonder if doing something like that in the middle would be, would be fun. Anyways, I love leadership. I thought it was a great program. I'll be honest, I did not want to do it. I'm not much of a joiner.
You're Dorothy.
I saw the value. I didn't necessarily love the idea of time commitment, but in the end, it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't nearly as much as it looked on a sheet of paper. And so I would say to anybody who's
absolutely
and they're thinking, oh my gosh, this is 9 months. Once
I can't predict what's going to happen in 3 months, or 6 months.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Absolutely. Yeah. If there's anybody who was kind of a naysayer, it would have been me. And I will tell you now, I firmly support the program. I think it was fantastic.
Oh,
I loved it. I thought it was great. So
I love it too. And you get to meet all the top people. And, which is what I love too.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the next wing, which was going to be this lighter orange one. So tell me about what inspired you to take the job as the executive director at CASA.
All right.
Is there a person, a story, or did it just feel right in your soul?
Okay, but that's not bad.
So this one it says it's a ghost pepper. I do send this one tends to again sneak up on the back end.
Yes. Suddenly, you could see my mouth. It feels like a blue flame.
Well, it's also the building.
It's very a gentle blue flame.
Yeah.
So, well, for one thing, I've known Megan Frazier for years now. She always helped with leadership, youth leadership and leadership on state government day. And we go to church together. And she had approached me on 3 different occasions to be the executive director. And it was the 3rd time. And I was kind of like, okay, God.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was winding my career down.
Okay.
Because I'll be 59 in September.
Wow.
So and so and I've been the executive director for 4 years now. But I had always had a heart for children in foster care. Believe it or not, one of my field placements in my master's was with an organization that worked with hard to place children because they had medical, issues, multiples, severe trauma. They don't even do that anymore because, of course, we learned you can't go through something like being removed from your home and not have trauma.
Absolutely.
You can't predict any child's trauma response.
Cannot. Yeah.
So that method kind of changed a little bit. But also, this is the story, when we moved from Nashville to Franklin, first day of 5th grade, in the cafeteria, new kid, this little girl named Rosemary sat beside me, and she had glasses and naturally curly hair and everything. And she starts asking me questions about me, and I started asking questions about her. And she said, I'm a foster kid. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm 10 years old. I didn't know there was such a thing. I mean, I did, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, my mom's in jail right now, but one day she'll get out, and I'll get to go live with her again. She never got to live with her mother. So she graduated in her her original foster home that I met with her when she was, you know, in 5th grade.
So this was sort of, in a way, placed into your life, onto your heart at an early age.
And it ends up tragic. She graduated out of the system, or aged out of the system, and then got a job, and ended up unlocking herself out of stress of the situation she found herself in. And I just thought, to be that young and feel like you have nobody. And that always kind of left a bookmark on my heart. And I didn't know if it was something I could handle. But the original job I had at CASA was the part-time advocate supervisor, working with the volunteers. And then within 7 months, please be the executive director.
But I think that's also such a testament to your heart, and also why you're perfect for that role. Because, I mean, a lot of people could have sat in that cafeteria and heard her story, went, cool, and just kept eating their food and not ever remembered her name or what she looked like. And she was clearly placed in your path for
absolutely. And you never know, right? You never know. That's why I always tell young people, always do your best. I don't care what the job is. Picking up trash, or even if you're having a bad day, still try to be nice. You never know, you might meet that person later who remembers you were the kid that worked so hard that day. But yeah, I was born a social worker. I was going to say it like that. And I always knew that I wanted to be big picture type situation, where some people are called to be the catchers of the starfish, you know, like yourself. You know, each one, you throw it back in the water, it's going to matter to that one. And I'm the person going, okay, we need to organize this whole beach, and we're just going to pick up all the starfish, and we'll just all do it. And we need both people.
We do. We really
need both people. And I saw the benefits of that even as a young child, because also what ended up happening before we moved to Franklin from Nashville, I changed schools, and I was born with spinal lymphedema. A lot of people don't know that about me. And my paralysis is in my arms and hands, so that's why I pick things up funny, and I don't. That's so sweet. It was far more recognizable as a child. You know, I'm 58, almost 59 years into dealing with this, but they had put me just in special ed because, well, she can't hold a pencil right. She must be low functioning, you know, intellectually, right? I wasn't low functioning intellectually. They made me start 1st grade before my 5th birthday. I was just a baby.
You were a baby.
I was a baby. My birthday's in September, and school started in August. And I was a baby. So she did all these testing and said, the law says your daughter should be in regular classes. And there's nothing wrong with her intellectually. They need to make accommodations. So, and that word wasn't used yet, but my mom had fought for that for so long. If she can get 5 questions correct in the time you give everybody to do 10, then why are you failing her? She struggles to write.
It's 1st grade, everyone.
Yeah.
Who's handwriting is perfect in 1st grade? I mean, I know adults like that. That doesn't say anything about the person or their ability or capability.
Absolutely. And one of the things on the handwriting part, my dad, my mom, my grandparents said, work on your signature. That's the most lasting thing about you. It's important for all documents. Work on your signature. So my signature was bad. One or the other, right? You saw that yesterday on the board. It's all funny. But so that's, once again, born a social worker, right? I learned it's the law that's given me, that gave her the power to change my world. And from that moment on, it was a big picture I want to help people in not just one, but all of them.
Yeah.
So that was just me. So
That's sweet. I like that. And I tell my son the same thing, that to be kind to everybody, because you don't know what they go home to. Some kids don't go home to love. And you might be the only love that that child experiences that day. And it takes no extra effort, no extra time, just be kind.
yes,
Because you have no idea. And maybe they'll remember him, maybe they won't. But in that moment, it makes a difference.
it does make a difference.
And sometimes those little moments, they add up, to a bigger difference. And I think that, like you said, it's important to have the big picture, and it's important to have those little moments. And we need collaborations between the big thinkers and the little thinkers.
Absolutely.
Right? Not even little, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the more, yes, exactly.
I've told teachers so many times when a kid was acting out, and I was like, they do that because they feel safe with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's trained to think a certain way, and educators say one way, social workers say, and I've had so many teachers say, you are such a social worker. But I'm like, he or she doesn't feel safe to behave that way at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're safe to have the big feelings with.
Well, and I think sometimes we don't recognize that big feelings, even kids testing boundaries, it's not personal. They're trying to find their place in this world. They're trying to understand where they fit in, what that looks like. And so, of course, they're going to test boundaries. Of course, they're going to ask questions that you don't have answers to. Of course, they're going to say things out of pocket to see where it lands. They're not necessarily trying to be disrespectful. They don't know.
They don't know.
And I even said this back when my son was a toddler, and there's other toddlers and kids, and they go through, 3 was a hard year for us.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say things sometimes that you could be seen as disrespectful.
Right.
And I have to say, he's been talking for like a year. He's been on this planet.
The concept of disrespect doesn't exist.
He's been on this planet for 3 years.
Yeah.
He has no idea. He heard something and he's saying it. He doesn't know the context. He doesn't know. And it's my job to teach him. And isn't that what discipline is, right? It's helping teach self-control and guidance, And so I think that that's also just a mindset that not everybody has, and I think a lot of it is training, and a lot of it is also just nature. Yeah. I've been that way my whole life. I'm just like you. It sounds like you have too. And I say this is the gift and curse that God blessed me with. I'm grateful for it. Some days I'm like, really? But I think that it's important to help people see a broader picture of behavior in particular.
Absolutely. And it's easier to sit here and tell people, take a breath. We know we've been in that moment, and it's not as easy. And I love that my son and daughter-in-law, we have a 3-year-old. They have a 3-year-old. It's my grandmother though. And to see how much encouraging and how gentle parenting is so. It really helps not to escalate it to yelling and screaming and causing the trauma.
It's humane.
Yes.
It's a humane.
And understanding, this is a little human. Everything's new.
Every day is new. Yeah. It's the first, especially at school, this is the first time they're maybe seeing something. It's the first time maybe somebody said something mean to them. It might be the first time they lost at this thing, the first time they struggled. Whatever it is, and if you go back and you're really honest with yourself, how well do we do with new things?
Exactly.
And I say this all the time, adults are allowed to have grumpy days. Adults are allowed to have all, but a kid? No. And so it's really, I think, I advocate for it all the time, it's just being a little more mindful of, behaviors aren't necessarily they're not manipulating or disrespectful,
they're what they have. That's what they have. That's the only thing they have in the toolbox.
They have
is an emotion.
That's right.
So that's what they're going to know.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So on that note, going on to our next one, which is the fire roasted garlic habanero. What is something that you would tell somebody who was going to take a job working with foster care youth, or even coming into your position next? What is one piece of advice that you would give someone going through this field? That one gets me every time. It doesn't seem to get other people, but it gets me.
There's something in it that's getting you. It's sweet.
It is, but it gets me. And I
That
forget that it gets
coming
me.
in.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but that one.
That's weird that one gets you.
I know. Because it's really not that bad, but
No.
there's something in it.
Okay, if you're going to go into the field of foster care, CASA, which we advocate for children in foster care, or children in general, my advice is to keep your sense of humor.
That's good advice.
A dark sense of humor helps sometimes because it is, the stories are heartbreaking.
Yes.
They are as bad as the general public might think they are. Oh, they're so much worse.
Yeah.
They are so much worse. And so you have to have people around you that know the world you're sitting in and support you when you need to say the bad word, when you need to go, oh, I can't take this, I need to take a minute.
Yeah.
But you need to, the biggest thing that I might learn to do, I do it better, and I make my staff do it, is self-care. Self-care. I mean, I've sent them to, the Healing Trust used to have like these meditative days for people who are in the service community and working with people so they can get restorative. Like, if you want to go, I'll send you just whatever you need to kind of reset, because life is just building up. So you have to be able to have those people in your life, whether they're definitely in your office, but also your family. From day one, when my husband and I got married, he was a teacher. I worked at a medical office in town at that time because there were no jobs in social work, thank you. And he was teaching my cousins. So we couldn't talk about the day.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of when we went home, we left it on the front door and we didn't bring it home. But if we had a hard day, we could say I had a hard day. Yeah. But we couldn't give specifics, clearly. But it's having that other person.
I really agree with you on the self-care. That is something that I had to learn the very hard way. And I think part of it was the way that society had billed self-care to me. It was manicures, and you get a massage, and it was all very exterior, and it was not very internal. So I did all that stuff. It didn't help. I mean, I guess I felt good for the 20, it was a quick Band-Aid fix, right? And what I had to learn was how to listen to my body. And those days when my body is saying, you need to just sleep, or you need to retreat, or you need to go for a walk. I'm that crazy person that goes out to Montgomery Bell and talks out loud on the trails, because I find that internal bleeding is the most dangerous. You have to get it out. You have to say it. And sometimes what I'm feeling is so big, I'm not going to put that necessarily on my partner until I can work through some of the bigger parts of it, and then I'll come home and be like, this is kind of what I dealt with today, this is what I was feeling, and this is what I'm still wrestling with. And luckily I do have that partner to be able to share that with. But before I learned how to do that and take care of myself, so I wasn't relying on him, that was a problem, because he would not always have the answer. And then I would still
And then he stressed too, because he can't help.
And so I had to learn how to help myself first, take care of myself, whatever that looks like. And then if I still needed somebody, I could go to them. And sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I'm able to, handle it myself. But really, I 100% agree with you that self-care and learning to listen to what's triggering you, what is going on with you, so that you can be emotionally regulated as best as possible.
Right, because a lot of the work when you're working with humans is frustrating. Because you're like, it's right here, grab it, the answer's right here, it's right here, it's right here. But, you know, there's that hard thing called, you know, free will. And they're in trauma, and they're in addiction, and they're in all these, they're dealing with their own, they're trying to self-medicate. The answer, it doesn't matter if the answer's right here. So I kind of lean back on my faith with the, you know, you share your testimony and you share your belief and faith in God, and that conversation may not lead the person to accept Jesus Christ, but you might plant a seed. When helping others, I can't control their choices. And I know that they had these issues before me, and most will continue to have the issue after me. All I can do is make the impact I can make where I am at that moment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's really important too, because a lot of people go into this work with this mindset of, I'm going to save
everybody.
I'm going to save. Yeah. You can't. They have to save themselves.
Absolutely.
You cannot.
You can be a hand, but you can't carry.
And that was also,
and that a lot of people try to carry.
And I've done it. I've tried that, and I'll tell you, it does not work. It will destroy your life. It will destroy everything, because then you take it on as if it's almost your win or loss. You can't do that. When you're helping other people, you're just there to extend. And the reality is, we talk about, you were saying the answer is right there. Well, the answer has to feel safe to take.
Absolutely.
You know, you can tell me all day long, the chocolate looks good, it's not bad, look at the expiration date. And I might be like, well, I don't really know about milk. I haven't had milk.
I don't know about this Shamrock Farms. I've never had them before.
I have to be able to develop trust with you, to be able to be like, okay, well, she's not going to steer me wrong. Right? And so, and that happens by listening, by engaging, by spending time with people, by not judging, and not
understanding human nature.
Yes, and also not investing your own stuff into their journey.
Which is a thing that we really talk about in the CASA advocate training, that is, I would say about a third of the people that are volunteer for us have a history with foster care. And I always have to say, you can draw on your experience to understand where they are in terms of the fear, the frustration, and being in a new place. But you cannot work out your demons through this child.
That's right.
That's adult stuff, and their shoulders were not meant for adult issues. You can't also project how you're feeling when they're in the middle of it too. You can't do that. So we are really careful to really do a deep dive. We do 2 interviews, and they're basically counseling sessions to see where people are with their past trauma.
Smart.
Because the last thing we want to do is add trauma into a trauma situation.
Yeah, and that's easy to do if you don't have the right people.
Absolutely. Our people are angels. Absolutely.
Okay, so this last one is the spicy one. You'll make it through, but it is going to be spicy. I'll make it through too. I don't know why I wear a sweatshirt, because I'm going to be sweating. Here's the question. Last question. You've done so well. See, how's it been so far?
It hasn't been bad at all, actually.
Okay.
My eyes haven't even watered.
Oh, they
That's
look
crazy.
So if you had a magic wand and you could instantly change one issue that you see kids face, what would that issue be? And why would you change it?
Okay. Oh my Lord. I told you. It just went through my nose. It was just the air of it going through my nose.
Yeah. This one's called the bomb.
Who would choose to do that? On a regular basis. That's crazy. What is it used on?
The fires of hell. I don't know.
Oh,
and I only
torture.
That was like the smallest drop too. Poor Sheriff Eads, I gave him quite a bit. I didn't mean to, a lot just came out.
Yeah. I don't want to breathe through my nose. It burns.
Oh, there go my eyes.
Oh, I have burst my mouth on fire if it existed.
So if you have magic wand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
If I had a magic wand, does eating this plain chicken help?
Mm-hmm. That's a little bit.
I haven't been able to think of my mouth burning so bad.
That's why we don't start with that one.
Okay, I'm gonna try. It's interesting becoming a grandparent.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell my friends, I said, you know, when you're going through life, you see God kind of as this parental punitive figure, right?
Mhm.
Always waiting for you to mess up.
Yeah.
And then when you become a grandparent, you go, oh, it's so cute. Because you see that the journey, she has to stumble and fall and learn to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true about every aspect. We don't want our kids to stumble and
Mhm.
fall.
But don't.
That is part of the journey.
It is.
And if I had a magic wand, I would say anyone in a child's life is there for the purpose of making a well-rounded, emotionally mature, stable human. Think about all the problems we wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Seriously.
I mean,
I agree.
if we were not making the society child focused, but change our focus of children to my goal is to make not just the ABCs, but to make this little person a good human.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a strong, well-rounded, empathetic, mentally, emotionally strong adult
Mm-hmm.
to tackle the problems that we have.
We would eliminate so many of the world's problems.
No,
That's why I'm such an advocate for trauma-informed programming in schools. And the reason I say schools is because our kids are there the most part of the day. Right? They're there 8 hours a day.
Mhm.
They're a captured audience. It's a great opportunity. And while yes, of course, academics are critical,
Yes.
the reality is most kids also can't thrive in academics
Right.
if you're not looking at their trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say trauma, a lot of people think the big T's, right?
Right.
Big world events or abuse. Trauma can be as simple as being neglected. It can be as simple
Food
as
insecurity, huge one.
it can be as simple as being broken up with. Someone, your first love, you got broken up with, and the people around you didn't understand your heartbreak, so you were left alone with it. I often say trauma isn't what necessarily what happened, it was what happened after.
Yes.
You know, was there support for you? And I say this all the time. You know, if you have better regulated kids in your classroom, if you're helping them deal with their emotional distress or whatever it is that they're going through, you see test scores go up,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna see behavioral incidents go down,
Mm-hmm.
you will see a ripple effect that will be astounding. And it's simply because as human beings, we are emotional creatures.
Yes.
And we can't deny that people have emotions and they have stuff that they're dealing with. And I'm not saying every kid needs a counseling session, that's not the teacher's job.
No.
But there is a place for understanding what a kid might be going through and providing some support or some
Absolutely.
resources. And I think you would see huge changes. And then you'll see it later on too, because they're going to pick healthier partners.
Exactly.
And they're going to stay away from substances, and they're not going to use alcohol in the same way. They'll be able to hold the job better. They'll believe in themselves more. And
I mean,
again,
yes. Yes.
the ripple effect is massive. You know, you and I have had this conversation several times. You know, I could go on for hours. I get very passionate about it because I sort of feel like it's that. What you're saying earlier, the answer is right there. Why are we ignoring it? Because it's hard, because it takes a long time, because it's not immediate. And I think that's such a problem. We're set up in this society where If we put a plan in place, we expect immediate results, and that's just not the reality. We look at the grants we get. If you have a year grant to create this outcome,
Yeah.
you can't.
You can't. Because you can't measure what didn't happen.
You can't. You can't.
Think about that. You cannot measure what did not happen. And I was in positive youth development for the majority of my career with Girl Scouts and 4-H. So until they become adults and feel confident and comfortable enough with you as the person you were when you knew them when they were a child, will they walk up and say, because of you, I didn't A, B, C.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Because of you, you know, I chose this path instead of that path. And there are no longitudinal studies on that kind of thing. There is just, there are studies with, you seem really resilient. What made you that way?
Yeah.
Now we know it is a strong adult in their life who says, I see you.
Yes.
I see you. Your world's tough. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, I'm here for you. But I want you to know I see you.
It makes the biggest difference.
And it makes the biggest difference. And that's what our CASA advocates are there for. To say, I'm here to speak for you when you don't feel like you have a voice. Whether it be a baby, a 5-year-old, to encourage the middle schooler or teenager to say, I want to meet with the judge by myself, which he will.
Yeah.
Every single one of them will. And to say you have a voice, you get to use it, and it matters.
And it matters.
And you may not get the immediate feel good, but that's not why you should be in it. We've talked about that.
That's exactly
You can't be in it for the immediate
That's
feel
exactly
good.
right. It's not about you.
It's not about me. It's not about, you know, it's not about what the advocate, it's about the child. And you know, it's not, I always say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. The judges make life and death decisions.
Yeah.
It's not life and death, but
I mean,
termination
at that time.
termination of parental rights is a legal death of a parent. So, I mean, it is life and death in many ways. Will you continue to have a relationship or not? So it's not easy, but you can't be in it for yourself. You
No.
can't.
Nope, you can't, 100%. Well, Renee, you did it. You did it. And I feel like you recovered from the bomb quicker than I expected.
Yeah. I don't know how.
I think I gave you a small enough amount.
You did, but I mean, my sinuses are feeling really good right now. I did cheat by taking some milk before we started, hoping to cope.
That's smart.
things.
No, that's smart. I might keep that in mind. I really appreciate you coming today and sharing about CASA and everything that you do. I appreciate everything you do in the community. And thank you for being brave enough to do the hot sauce.
Asking me. Yes.
Well, thank you.